Having considered accounting disclosure, discussing about voluntary and mandatory disclosure, in this study session, I'm looking at a list of environmental accounting theories. So we have the agency theory, we have the signaling theory, capital need theory, legitimacy theory, stakeholders theory, institutional theory, new institutional theory, and we would conclude. So the agency theory was propounded by Jensen and Beckley in 1976, which was born out of the agency conflict that arises between the agent and the owner. So this theory explains the contractual relationship between the principal and the agent. The basic idea is that the principal delegates authority to the agent to enable the agent carry out responsibility on behalf of the principal. From a corporate perspective, the agent represents the managers, while the principal represents the shareholders. It is believed that due to the remoteness of shareholders from the business, that managers possess superior information which they take advantage of unduly. This situation leads to conflict of interest, and therefore shareholders incur certain costs to mitigate this problem. And this is what we call the agency conflict cost. So the agent and the principal the goal must align. Voluntary disclosure is another means of reducing the agency problem. By making additional disclosure in environmental accounting, shareholders have access to information that enhance their decision making and are convinced that managers are acting according to the terms of contract. So most of the times, the agents want to have more information privy to him and want to use it for selfish reasons. So the agency theory is basically telling us the relationship, the contractual relationship between the principal and the agent. And it is also important that the agent must be able to align with the objective of the principal. We also have the signaling theory. The signaling theory was propounded by Spencer in 1973. The aim of signaling theory is to provide clarification on information asymmetry in the labor market, because the stakeholders they are anticipating is giving them a signal and a pointer to what is happening in their environment. So signaling theory is used to explain voluntary disclosure in corporate reporting. For the purpose of branding and building reputation, companies signal some information to the market to attract investors. According to Verecitia 1983, stated that voluntary disclosure is one of the strategies of signaling that enables companies to disclose more information in order to give the impression that they are doing well and are socially responsible. Now, because some disclosures are made, the investors outside react to this disclosure, and by so doing, this reaction is what we are referring to as signals. The information to the market would attract investors, and they would react to this information. Signaling theory, to some extent, would reduce information asymmetry, because it is one of the assumptions of that theory to provide a clarification on how information asymmetry can be reduced because of the participants in the labor market. Another theory is the capital need theory. As companies grow and expand in operation and asset base, the need for more capital arises. This theory therefore proposes that companies that are socially responsible and provide adequate information on environmental degradation and associated costs will appeal to investors when the need to raise capital arises. Now, capital need theory is coming as a result of a circumstance because capital have increased, asset base have increased, so market participants need more capital to see how they can see that the environment in which they are to lead to further degradation. What we are saying is that this theory proposes that companies that are socially responsible and provide adequate information on environmental degradation and associated costs will appeal to investors when the need to arise. The capital need theory and the social contract theory actually related to some extent because you are operating in an environment and there's a social contract which must be considered, which must be built into it, and the stakeholders in that environment are expecting a return, and over time their capital needs will continue to grow. Capital can be raised at low cost when adequate information is made available to investors, according to Schwab 1973. The idea behind this is that a company's cost by funds includes a premium arising from uncertainty about the reliability of information about the company. Number 4 theory is legitimacy theory. Legitimacy theory assumes that the company's value should align with that of the society where it does its business. Now, where the business is being carried out and the people in that environment, we cannot separate them. These people are expecting that you carry out your business according to what you have told them to do. So anything that comes or that falls short of that means that there is a breach. Organizations cannot function outside the bounds of the societal norms. The behavior of the company must be acceptable within the society where it operates, and their behaviors must change to conform to the variations in society. This is according to Enaro 2012. Now, because you are carrying out a business in an environment, there are cultural expectations, there are cultural norms, there are values in which your company's mission and your vision must align. Legitimacy theory is a concept of social contract that is effective explaining the rationale behind environmental reporting. The earliest documentation on legitimacy theory can be traced to the study of Shetty 1975, who stated that corporate social responsibility is that corporate behavior that aligns with prevailing social norms. So it simply means we can say legitimacy theory can also be called corporate social responsibility. In the absence of this compliance, society will withdraw the organization's right to continue its operations. Business organizations operate within the boundaries set by rules, regulations, and societal norms. So, for the fact that you are carrying out a business in an environment, you must operate by rules, regulations, societal norms, customs, and values. Another theory is the stakeholders theory. The stakeholders theory was propounded by Freeman in 1984, and this is just an extension of the shareholders theory that tries to capture all other stakeholders in the environment as a whole. Stakeholders theory holds that an enterprise relates with a number of interested parties in the environment where it operates. The interrelationship between the company and these interested parties is mutual, such that the activities of the company influence the stakeholders in one way or the other and vice versa. These stakeholders include the community, government agency, investor or shareholders, employee or trade union, customer or supplier. Disclosure of environmental accounting information would enable stakeholders have access to information for decision making. So the stakeholders theory posits that stakeholder groups in the environment are all captured in the accounting process because they also have a stake in the business and are also expecting a return. And we have the institutional theory and the new institutional theory. The institutional theory has two perspectives: the isomorphism and the decoupling. The decoupling explains the adaptation of voluntary disclosure of environmental information, while isomorphism explains the reporting of social and environmental information as an institutional practice and the manner social and environmental practices are adapted. We have discussed about voluntary and mandatory disclosure. So what the institutional theory, looking at it from two perspectives, so the decoupling perspective supports the voluntary disclosure, and the isomorphism explains reporting social and environmental information. The new institutional theory is just an improved version of the institutional theory that posits that institutions operate in environments where other institutions operate. This environment is called the institutional environment. Thus, the behavior of business organization is influenced by the institutions within an environment, otherwise known as the wider society. Survival is one of the main goals of businesses. So we have been able to look at several theories in this study section. We have tried to look at the agency theory, signaling theory, capital need theory, legitimacy theory, stakeholders theory, institutional theory, and the new institutional theory. Thank you for listening.